I don't want to move again, but if they tell me to relocate, I have no choice.
The military council receives income from dam constructions. They spend it on bullets and cans.
Activists have long campaigned against a series of dam projects slated for northern Shan state. But after the military coup, there's been even less transparency about these projects. The villagers of Lilu will be directly affected by the Namtu Dam, but they're still in the dark about their future. Hello and welcome to Do Athan, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by journalists from Shwe, Myay. Names and voices may have been changed to protect contributors. It's a river known by many names, most commonly the Namtu River. But here in Lilu village in Namsan township, they call it the Lilu River. The edge of the village is just 16 meters away from the river, but quite soon it will be completely flooded by water. A 210 megawatt dam is being built 20 kilometers upstream from Sipor town. And according to the Myay consulting report, the dam will submerge Lilu village and 140 hectares of arable land. This is a well-settled village in the hills of northern Shan state, which is home to about 300 people. Everyone farms here. They grow rice and sometimes corn. They also catch fish from the river. Villager Lone Ponya is 70 years old. He's lived here for most of his life. He and his family own 3.5 acres of farmland.
I don't want to relocate. We have everything here. We have properties. If we move, we will lose those things. And what would we do for a living? They will compensate us, but we won't have our livelihood. With that compensation, we can't create the farms and fields right away. One day, that money will be gone.
The Namtu Dam project was originally planned as something smaller. In 2014, the National Current Energy Hydropower Company, or NCEH, got an MOU for a build-operate-transfer agreement for a 100 megawatt dam. The NCEH is allegedly owned by the United Wa State Army. The Shan State Frontline Investment Monitor, or SSFIM, says preparatory work started in 2017 before formal approval and before an environmental impact assessment was carried out. The formal agreement came in April 2022 for a 210 megawatt dam. Since then, according to another villager, Ike Moon, the company has moved fast with construction work.
The structures for preventing dam breaks, such as the sluice gate, have been built. There are heaps of gravel larger than the village. If they start building, it won't take much time. Everything is ready.
So the villagers are watching this dam being built without any real idea of what's going to happen to them. It doesn't appear that proper consultations were held with locals in the planning stages. One meeting was held in late 2021, at which the company told the villagers they'd have to relocate. But no details have been agreed on relocation or compensation for their land, houses and crops. Ike Moon says there have just been grand promises.
They told us to count any plants, including eggplant or chili plants, and said they would compensate us for any loss. They told us just to point to where we want to relocate and they would make it happen. They told us that we wouldn't lose out and they would take care of us for 10 years. We don't want to relocate, but we cannot resist.
The Shan State Frontline Investment Monitor released a report in May this year, criticising the NCEH for its lack of transparency and disregard of local concerns. Do Than has tried on many occasions to get a response from the company, with no success. In fact, the Namtu Dam is one of 5 dam projects on the river, only one of which is completed. Activists are concerned about the environmental and social impact of all these projects. NCEH hired Myay Consulting to conduct an environmental impact assessment, or EIA, on the Namtu Dam in 2018. This reported that the impact would include sediment starvation for downstream banks, a reduction in water flow, and a disturbance to aquatic life. But locals and activists are also seriously concerned about the safety of the dam. The Shan State Frontline Investment Monitor says any breach of the dam might result in what they call a catastrophic disaster, endangering the lives of 20,000 residents of Seaport Town downstream. Then there's the question of who will benefit from the dam. Electricity will be supplied to the national grid, and the EIA report suggested the project would create direct and indirect employment from construction, transportation, and so on. But villagers say that so far they've only seen Chinese workers at the dam site. There may be no direct benefit for locals. Meanwhile, the dams are being built in a highly contested area, with various local ethnic armed and resistance groups operating around there. Shan activists have decided to appeal to those armed groups. In April this year, 13 civil society organisations, or CSOs, wrote an open letter to resistance groups in Shan State, urging them to protect the state's rivers. One of those CSOs is the Namtu River Protectors. They're organising an online campaign to stop the project. They've collected around 7,000 signatures already. Spokesperson Nangmo Sai warned that the military regime will benefit financially from these deals.
Currently, the conflict has escalated mainly in northern Shan State. Locals are fleeing for their lives. The military council receives income from dam constructions. They spend it on bullets and guns. We cannot ignore these facts.
There are 4 locations which have been proposed for the new Lilu village. 3 of them are in Namtu Township and 1 in Namsan Township. Of those 4 options, the villagers prefer the Namsan location because they wouldn't have to re-register on the household lists or change their ID cards. But they don't want to move at all if they can help it. They haven't been offered land in Namsan on which they can farm. And the location is quite far from the river, which means irrigation is harder and they can't so easily fish for their meals or livelihood. The company has assured the villagers that they will address any problems that arise in the relocation. But the villagers remain sceptical, and the civil society organisations which used to help them have either disbanded or have moved due to the military regime's crackdown on civil society and any dissenting voices. Nangmo Sai from Namtu River Protectors says that it's been difficult to keep in touch with the villagers due to poor internet connection and the ongoing conflicts.
Before the coup, we even organized prayers and protests expressing our opposition to the dam, and we could act on the ground differently. But now we still don't know whose homes will be submerged, their relocation plan, and people's future livelihoods. This is more worrying than before, especially in the current political situation.
For older people like Lun Ponya, this kind of change is very distressing. Lilu village actually used to be on the other side of the river. He was born there. But when he was a child, they relocated the village to be closer to a new road. So he's already moved once. He doesn't want to move again. But he doesn't feel he has any choice.
I moved from my former village. If I move again, I will have relocated twice including settling in this village. I don't want to move again. But if they tell me to relocate, I have no choice. I can't do anything. That's their decision.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Doathan. We would welcome your feedback on social media. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcasts via the Doathan Facebook page. They can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes and Spotify. You can also listen every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. Please tune in again next week.